Good day, boxing fans. Saturday on the Zone, we've got a mammoth pay-per-view card, and I think it's worthy of a price ticket when Terence Crawford, one of the elite pound-for-pound fighters in the world, if not the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, it's an argument between him and Usyk and Inoue, steps up a weight division to challenge WBA super welterweight or junior middleweight, however you see the 154-pound division world champion, but Uzbekistani fighter Israil Madrimov. Is this a mere formality, a victory for Crawford so that he can go on and chase that big fight of Canelo Alvarez, or is it a potential banana skin? I would say that Terence Crawford and his people would do very well not to look past Madrimov, because he is definitely a very live dog and a formidable fighter in his own right. Care to break down the fight? Then stick around. It's all going down Saturday night at the BMO Arena in Los Angeles, the City of Angels. Will it be an opportunity for Israil Madrimov to suddenly fly and spread his wings, or is Terence Crawford just going to keep on winning? Crawford, who is 40-0, high knockout ratio, is riding a streak of 11 stoppages now. In his last fight, he became undisputed welterweight champion by stopping Errol Spence Jr. He was also undisputed junior welterweight, 140-pound champion, and he was also champion at lightweight. So he is a true modern-day great, in my opinion. But he is having a serious challenge in front of him. We know what Crawford can do. He's listed as a southpaw, but he fights in the orthodox style as easily as he fights southpaw. He's quick. He's got, I think, an amazing ring IQ. He knows exactly how to figure out his opponent and exploit the weak spots. Quick hands, quick feet, and he does carry decent power. The question is, how well will it carry up to junior middleweight? We'll have to see Saturday. Now, Crawford has beaten everybody that's been put in front of him. If I have to look at a weak spot of Crawford, it takes a while to get started, sort of like Vasyl Lomachenko. He reads his opponent, he figures out where he zigs and zags, and then he systematically starts to break his opponent down. There's that, and going long back against Yuriorkis Gamboa, he had a few wobbly moments. He won well enough, stopped Gamboa as well, but Gamboa had his moments, and Gamboa was a quick sort of in and out, jumping bean, awkward kind of fighter. Now, when I look at Israil Madrimov, I see the same sort of thing that I saw there with Yuriorkis Gamboa. Madrimov is also a very awkward fighter. He comes from that Eastern European amateur scene. He had a big amateur career there in Uzbekistan, moved to the States, trained by Joel Diaz, and he has amassed a record of 10-0-1, only 11 fights as opposed to Crawford's 40, but he's one of those guys with an amateur pedigree that's been moved quite quickly. Now, if we look at Israil Madrimov, Madrimov is an awkward kind of guy. That's the word that comes to mind. He's constantly on the move. He's got great feet. He steps in, he steps out. As he punches, he moves himself with the weight of a punch around his opponent. He'll hit this way and go off that way. And he can handle southpaws. That's what we've seen 2 fights ago against Rafael Ibokwe. But there's not quite a southpaw or a switch hitter like Terence Crawford. There's nothing he can fight that's going to prepare him for that. But so far, Madrimov has shown that he can take a few cracks when he needs to, and he can be very elusive. He fights almost like that Roy Jones sort of style, with his hands down by his waist, and he uses his reflexes to get away, and he punches, and then he's no longer there. He's very good at that, hitting and stepping around his opponent and not being there, and coming in and out in short spurts. So very good in that aspect, and I think he also carries decent power. He can finish his man when he's got him hurt. But if I have to look at Madrimov, if I have to find a chink in the armor, he's got this odd habit sometimes when he's standing in front of a guy, and in order to stop his opponent from throwing, he'll jump forward and he'll hold him, and he sort of falls forward with his head like that. And you'll see there's been headbutt problems in some of his fights. The second fight with Michel Soro comes to mind. he does this thing where he suddenly jumps forward and grabs his opponent. And if he does that with Terence Crawford, I think that's going to be something that Crawford will exploit. Now, guys, tell me below in the comment section, who do you think win Saturday night, Crawford or Madrimov? How do they win and why do they win? I always like to see what you guys think also, because I'm definitely not always right. We've had a huge weekend of upsets behind us. Derek Chisora, what a legend, springing an upset against Joe Joyce. And then the Filipino Pedro Taduran, wow, managing to stop Genjiro Shigeoka. So I was wrong with everything last weekend, but that's what makes boxing an exciting sport, because if you always predict it right, and then the fights aren't very well matched, to be honest. Now, what are the keys to Crawford to a fight? I've noticed there's one advantage that Crawford's got. He's much for older man, and he's got more wear and tear on the clock in terms of number of fights, not really in terms of big wars. But one thing about Terence Crawford is going to be half an inch shorter than Madrimov, but he's got a 5.5-inch reach advantage. He's got this really big 74-inch wingspan. Floyd Mayweather was also a guy with long arms compared to his height, and that catches an opponent unaware. They think they're out of range because your mind sees the overall build of your opponent, and then you're not, you get clipped. And I think the key for Terence Crawford is whether he does it as a southpaw or whether he changes to the orthodox stance. I suspect that he might, is to get his jab going. It's hard to hit Madrimov with a jab to the head, but hit him in the chest, then go to the head. And Michel Soro had small spots of success with his jab, was also sort of a rangy fighter like Terence Crawford. And for Crawford, that would be the key. Hit the jab, hit the body, because a guy with that in and out reflexes and movement, it's hard to hit him in the head. He's going to battle to just nail Madrimov in the head, so he's going to have to go to the body. So for Crawford, try not to give away the early rounds, establish that jab, hit the body, and then wait for and goad Madrimov into making a mistake and counter him, because we know Terence Crawford is a good counter puncher. Whether he can hurt him and finish him remains to be seen. As for Madrimov, I think when I see him against taller, rangier guys, I see him putting his hands up a bit more and becoming more aggressive. So, as I've mentioned, Crawford's not taller, but he's got a substantial reach. And I expect Madrimov is going to be a bit more aggressive, but that also leaves him open to getting caught. And we saw Michel Soro catching him a couple of times when he fights that aggressive stance. So for Madrimov, if he can at all with that reach of Crawford, he needs to shift and move and shift and move and hit and move and try and turn around Crawford without getting caught. Use his feet, because Madrimov has got very good reflexes, he's got very good feet to get in and out. So that's what I would do if I'm Israil Madrimov, be that awkward in and out, herky-jerky kind of guy, because that's something that might throw off a boxer like Crawford. I think if he's forced in the end to fight like that, to come forward and slug a bit more like he did against Michel Soro, I think Crawford might catch him. The big question is does Crawford have a power as a junior middleweight to hurt a guy like Madrimov, who has never really been in trouble? He had a tit-for-tat with Michel Soro until he stopped him in an overtime round, but I haven't really seen him badly hurt, and he's fought some big punches like Emani Colombo that we know here in South Africa. So that is the thing. I think Israil Madrimov is something that Crawford can't afford to take lightly. I think it's not the ideal style for Crawford. I think it's a more difficult style-wise than Errol Spence was. Spence is more flat on his feet. So I think in that aspect, it might be a little bit more difficult for Crawford. So I'm expecting Madrimov to maybe take the first few rounds to give Crawford a bit of time to set and reset. But I do think at some point in the fight, Crawford is going to catch Madrimov. And when that happens, I think he's going to have Madrimov in some kind of trouble. And the big thing is, will Madrimov survive? I think I want to, it's very, very hard to say, because he's never fought anybody like Crawford. And I wonder if he does get hurt, how will he react? Will he react by slugging, or will he get back on his bicycle? But if you do get hurt, then it's hard to do that fast steps and in and out with your feet like Madrimov does so well. So I'm thinking that Madrimov will win some early rounds. There'll be some difficult to score rounds, but I think Crawford is going to break through with a better moments. Perhaps rock Madrimov once or twice, and he's just going to land the flashier, the better, the clearer punches. So I'm thinking Terence Crawford by late stoppage or a competitive decision. I'm going to gamble that Crawford is going to carry his power up to the heavyweight division, and I'm going to say Crawford by late round stoppage. So I'm going with Crawford TKO 11. Guys, tell me what you think. Please remember to share the content, and thank you to those who have subscribed. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And until we see each other again, remember to keep those hands up.